What is up, everybody? My name is Victor, and today you've joined me at Audi Oakville, where I'm trying to answer a very important question. Is the ultimate daily driver an Audi? Now, for a car to be an ultimate daily anything, it needs to be able to do four things extremely well. Number one, it needs to be exciting, engaging. It needs to keep you awake. You need to want to drive this thing. You need to want to be in it. And that brings us to number two. It also needs to be comfortable. Okay, you're gonna be using this on your morning commute, on the school run. You need to be able to live with it. You need to be able to use it. But that doesn't mean it needs to be ugly, okay? It needs to look damn good, okay? If you park this car and you don't get out, take a few steps, and turn around just to look at it parked there in all of its glory, then it's just not the car for you. And most importantly, it needs to have a personality, okay? On average, people spend over 4 years. Let me say that again, over 4 years of their lives in a car. You need to connect to it, you need to love it. And that means the S5 needs to be more than just a machine. But is it? That's what we're here to find out. Now, given this is an S product, it does only make sense that we discuss the performance. Now, if you've ever been in one of Audi's newer generation S vehicles, you are familiar with the 3-liter turbocharged V6 up front, and it is Audi's bleeding heart. Now, I know a lot of people miss the generation with the supercharged. Sometimes I am one of them, but you can't argue the fact that in this, the performance is just so much better. And that is partly down to the fact that it's a twin scroll turbo. Now, before I get into the results of what that means, I'll explain a little bit of what twin scroll turbo actually is. Now, in a single scroll turbo, you essentially take all the exhausts and feed it into a single collector, as the name suggests. But in a twin scroll, again, as the name suggests, that exhaust is fed through twin channels that go into the turbo rather than just a single collector. And that means you end up with a much more efficient, uninterrupted flow. And the results prove it, people. The results prove it. In this is the new generation. Peak torque comes on at 1,400, no less than 1,400 RPM. This thing is fast, guys. I know Audi has a little bit of a reputation for being nose heavy just because of how far front the engine is. But in this, they compensate by sending up to 85% of the power to the back. So you can still have some good old-fashioned fun in the corners. Don't think, however, that this means you are susceptible to a crash, because in this, Audi can still send up to 70% of the power forward. And that means that you're never really going to be in anything that's too sticky of a situation. This car really does feel as planted as a mountain. And that brings us on to the next requirement for the ultimate daily driver. Can you really use this thing every day? Well, if you take it out of S mode and you move this from dynamic into comfort, the exhaust shuts up, the suspension and the steering become much less aggressive, and before you know it, your Audi has turned into a long-distance cruiser. Lovely. Audi has really balanced this thing perfectly. You get all the sportiness you could ever want without having to deal with any of the unruly harshness that you typically see on other vehicles of this class. And at the end of the day, this is an Audi, a byproduct of build quality and perfection. All of the buttons in here are exactly where you'd expect them to be, and nothing creaks, nothing at all. This really feels like it was made to withstand a nuclear apocalypse. And all the while you're sitting here being pampered by your heated, massaging, diamond quilted leather seats. You never lose sight of the fact that just under your right foot and right in front of you, you have 349 rampaging German horses just waiting to come to life. And that really is what makes this thing so perfect. You are cocooned in luxury and opulence. Back here, you have over 20 cubic feet of room. That is more than anything else in this class, and mind you, that is with the seats up, and yet you have enough power to awaken the inner child of every single person sitting in this car. And because it's a Sportback, you have more than enough room for 3 of your friends, 4 in a pinch, and you never feel like you're choosing between space and dynamics. Finally then, it's starting to feel like Audi's made a car for people that need the practicality of an SUV without wanting to be consigned to a life of the mundane. And that brings us on to the least mundane thing of this car, the way it looks. Oh man, this car is so special. The way it wins you over is insane. You have no choice but to respect it. Everybody has made some sort of iteration of this Sportback design in their model. Audi have been trailblazers since the very beginning, and it's not just in design, it's in mechanics as well. In every Audi that you get into, or just about every Audi you get into, there is a reminder of this trailblazing and trend-setting energy that made Audi what it is today. And that is Audi Quattro. Since the 1980s, Audi has made nearly 11 million vehicles with Quattro all-wheel drive. It's a cornerstone on which the brand was built, and though there have been many imitations over the years, none have ever been a true equal. The difference, what really separates it from the rest, is its history. In the late 1970s, while snow testing an off-road military vehicle made by VW, one of Audi's chassis engineers noticed just how much better the four-wheel drive VW was performing compared to its two-wheel drive counterparts. Now, unlike everybody else, he started to wonder what would happen if you fit this system to something other than a military prototype. And with that, the era of Audi Quattro had begun. Audi was committed to changing the game, and before long, everyone was convinced that all-wheel drive not only worked, but was actually better, and now it's become a staple of our modern world. It's this passion for progress, this commitment to proving themselves time and time again that makes this brand, and by extension this car, so special. Now before I let you go, I want to wrap up what has essentially been my love letter to this car with a little bit of a story. When I was in high school, I remember we had an assignment where we had to break down our success pillars in our lives, things that we could use to dictate how far we'd come in our lives. Now, most of the people in my class, most normal people, use things like their homes and their spouses and their future children and things like that to dictate how far they come. But for me, my success pillars were always cars. Now, of course, I had things like Aston Martin and 911s and Ferraris and all of those beautiful things way, way up in the stratosphere. But the S5 was always one of those attainable dream cars, genuinely just out of reach for me and for a lot of other people. And I really think that's why the S5 has become the icon that it is. Realizing that you are a little bit of hard work away from owning something you've always dreamed of owning is such a powerful feeling. You are never too far away. And the fact that it ignites your inner child while actually having more than enough room in the back for your real children means that you get to live out this dream every single day, on every school run, every tea time, every back road, hell, every trip to the lumberyard. It never misses a beat. It's the perfect companion. It is the ultimate daily driver. But hey, don't take my word for it. Come down to Audi Oakville, you and I can take it for a rip, and you can let me know whether or not it completely wins you over, but I bet that it will, or your money back. Thanks for watching, guys.